you get your miter chart. This is a short radius. It really doesn't matter right now. Let's say if it's a 10-inch pipe and it's 1.5 inches thick, or 1 inch thick, rather, it's the throat or the heel is 3 1/4, and then 11/16 is the throat, and the number of miters you need is 8. Okay, so you add 3 1/4 to 3 1/4, and then you add 3/8 to 11/16. This is going to be your crimp, and this is going to be your addition to the bead. So 3 1/4 plus 3 1/4 is 4, and then 11/16 plus 3/8 is going to be 6/16. So you're going to have 1 1/16 is going to be your throat measurement. Okay, so you got your heel and your throat with the addition of the bead and the crimp. So you get your 90-degree angle with your square. This is already a 90-degree angle, okay? And I'm going to call this my apex, where the corner is, apex line. A lot of people call it that. I don't know if it's true to be that. I don't know. Okay? You divide this by 2. And you divide this by 2. That's 2 inches. And this is pretty much a 1/2 inch. My son has the calculator on my phone right there. This is half of 1/16 is like 132, which is next to nothing. So we're gonna go ahead and call that 1/2 inch. And then you might mark over a little bit more. So then what you do is you come over here to your apex line, and then you measure up a 1/2 inch, and then you go back to and that's going to be your throat measurement. And then you go back to your apex line, and you mark up 2 inches. And like I said, the circle is going to be small. The point I'm trying to get at here is whenever you measured from the apex here to get your throat measurement, and then you measured from the apex up to get your heel measurement. What you're trying to bisect is these two. So basically, you want to do this point to this point in half, which is like, I don't know, I don't have a tape measure on me, but let's call this half. I'm sure you can get your tape measure and divide it by 2, but it's going to be right about here. And then you're going to get your dividers, and you're going to put your dividers right here to here, and then you're going to draw your circle. You're going to scribe your circle, okay? And then what you can do is you can get your T-square and square that up. And then what you want to do is break this into equal parts. So how you do that is you get your dividers and you set them here. Well, they're already set because you just drew that circle. So you keep them here, and then you go up here and you mark. You move it here and you mark. What that's going to do is it's going to leave you a mark here and a mark here. Whenever you do this, and then you get your square, and you might as well do this side too. All you're doing is you're cutting it in half. All this is, so when you do that, you get your square and you square that up. You square that up, and what you're doing is you're breaking this up into 4 equal parts. Basically, what this is, and nobody told me this until I realized it, is that when you break these into 4 equal parts, like this with your dividers, all this is a 22.5 degree angle. So if you were to get your square, or for instance a protractor, and you mark it like this, this is a little, maybe you need this side. I don't know how to use that. 90 degree, and it's like a 22. Like this is 22, poop poop, little mark. That's basically what that is. So like this is a 90 degree angle right here. This is a 45 degree angle. That's basically what you're doing. You're but dissected into like a 90 and a 22 and a 45 to get your equal parts. And what that does, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it's 0. I'm sorry. 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. It just depends on how many you break it. I think I only broke it twice. You need to break it one more time to get your, I think the thing is on 9. It's set on 9. So then what you do is you come to your, you say you get the circumference of your scratch paper, your sketch or whatever you want to call it, your scratch out, and you add your lap. So say for instance your 10 by 190, the circumference of the insulation is going to be let's say 10 inches. Okay, well you divide it by 16 because that's what the pattern calls for, and then say it comes out to 36 inches. Where you want 2 inches on each side of that, so you add 4 inches to 36, it makes it 40. So let's call this 40-inch piece. Then you mark the scratch piece, the scratch aluminum. You have 2-inch lap here and a 2-inch lap here. So then you say 36 divided by 16. Then you'll get your number, and then you'll get your dividers, and you'll set it so it's going to be like 3 inches or 1.5 or whatever it is. And you set your dividers to that, and all you got to do is bump with your dividers. Little mark, little mark, little mark, and so on and so forth. You just flip it because you already divided it. So whatever by 16, so whatever you set your dividers to, that's what it's going to be. Boom, 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 and it should knock you right about here because that's what you divided up. So what it's going to do is it's going to go like this. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to draw a center line, not too close to the bottom edge, because this is what you want to do. You want to draw a center line, so when you make that transfer of your pattern, your numbered pattern, to over here, you're not coming to the edge of your aluminum. And what I mean by that is, whenever you transfer the biggest number, say right here to right here, you don't want to be short and then have to start all over again. So you want to make sure you have enough room when you do your center line. So what it's going to do is you're going to start at 5. That's what the pattern is going to tell you, to start at 5, and that's going to be here. So it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. It's going to go up to 9, and then come back down to 5. You're going to end up, I know I don't have enough lines or whatnot, but that's basically what it's going to do. It's going to come to your 5, and you're going to mark it, and it's going to go like this. It's going to fish mouth. It's going like this. And why you're going to have 3 5s is what I'm saying is because this, and whenever you use your ruler or however you want to make your line, you can use like a piece of duck strap or something and have somebody help you. What you want to do is follow your marks. So when you come over here and you mark, your first line, and you come here and you look at where number 1 is, or number 0, or number 2, you come from this line here to 2, and you come over here and you mark it here, and you mark it here. Then you go to 3 and you mark number 3 and mark number 3 here. And then you go to 5 and you go to the 5, of course, here and here. And then you get your band or whatever, and you go like this, and that's where this line comes into play. Whenever you see your lap right here, what you want to do is you want to get on the dots and just kind of flow with that lap. You don't want to cut that lap straight across, because that's going to defeat the purpose of your lap. You're going to have like a little gap. So what you want to do is get your little angle going. And then you cut it out. For instance, I'll cut this out. and you're able to, so try not to mark too much or too dark, or you could use the reverse side of the aluminum so you're not making marks all over your good aluminum. So say for instance this is on the inside of where the paper or plastic is on the bottom side, you can mark all the way up, create your pattern, then you flip it to the aluminum side, and you can alternate this pattern back and forth. That's the purpose of making a pattern, so you can not waste material. So basically when you cut this out, this should be able to flip and then flip, and you mark it and then flip it and mark it, and you're able to cut it out and use the most out of your aluminum. Also, don't forget to make your points. You want to get a punch, and don't be shy about punching it with your like a hole punch or something. Just kind of press right there and press right here, and what that tells you is whenever you mark it, and I think you punch it on the not the aluminum side but the plastic side, because what that does is it pushes it out. You don't want to make a hole, but you want to push it where it's perforated. The metal is perforated up. You can feel it. Feel a little dot whenever. And what that is, it lines up your gores when you're trying to put it on. You want to have like a little telltale sign for where the next gore is going to go on. So if you have a tag right here, boom, 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 you punch it and you go to put it on, you're going to have a sort of guide, because these suckers get big, you know, and you want to have something to tell you, oh, this is off because where's the dot? Because these dots are going to line up with the next piece, so on and so forth. And when you beat it, and you can get into it a little deeper when you cut this out and you want to crimp and beat it, because sometimes, you know how this goes on the side and it's going to shed water. Well, for instance, whatever side you want that lap on, for instance, and you have a big pipe coming out the side of it, well, you wouldn't bead, that would tell you which direction you want that gore to go. Because if you beat it here, you just made them all up and you beat it all this and you crimp this, well, that's going to put your lap at a certain direction. So look at the pipe, or if you have a chance, look at the pipe and what direction it is, where it's facing, because horizontal gores, it really doesn't matter where your crimp and bead fall, because it's going to shed water. But vertical 90s do, because you want them to shed water as well as it to look good. So in saying that, you can get a little more thinking once you get the hang of it. But when you order them, they all come pre-beaded and pre-crimped, so you really don't have a choice in that matter. But when you do crimp, you start off pretty much, I don't think you necessarily have to start off with that, or you can start off on the end and then it tapers off. So you kind of taper it into a 3/4. So you don't go all the way 3/4, you taper it. So where it kind of whoop, and then it tapers off. You can kind of jerk it out and it goes to nothing on this dot. So for instance, you got 3/4 all the way and then you jerk it out. And you want to do it, you want to do your crimp similar you would a bevel. That's how much of an angle you want. You wouldn't do the crimp as if you're doing an end cap. You want to do it just like you're doing a bevel. If you ever remember, you do a bevel and you kind of have it at a 45-degree angle, that's what you want to do with that crimp. And now when the bead is concerned, you can taper it, but I don't suggest it. What you want to do is loosen the beater, and you stick it up in there, and then you tighten it. So say for instance you loosen it all the way, you don't taper it, you loosen the beater all the way, and you shove the gore inside, and then you tighten it down, and then you probably can loosen it and pull it out. And what that does is it doesn't lay down correctly if you taper it. Trust me. Because if you taper it here and then you go to put the next one on, it bulges it out for some whatever reason. Kind of like the interlock that interlock safety edge crap, you have to cut it out, you know. It kind of has that same effect. And plus, if you taper it, it'll leave like a little peeper hole for some whatever reason. But if you open it up and then you press it down, you shove it in there and you press it down, it'll create just a bead, you know what I mean? And then you loosen it and it lay down a whole lot better. And sometimes I saw Billy, he'll come over to this side of it, and he would bead into some of this because it's your lap, and it will overlap this side, just depending on which way it goes. So if you want this to be overlap this, you wouldn't do it. But if this overlaps this on whichever direction sheds water, this would bead a little bit because this go over that. That would go, you know what I'm saying? So you would bead a little bit of here. And it's, you know, less than 2 inches, I would imagine. But call me if you have any problems.